Hey guys, this is Spartacus here and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you the best attachments to use on the Bren light machine gun within Vanguard's multiplayer, and there's going to be actually two different types of attachment setups that you can use with the Bren that I'm going to be recommending because they are going to be catered to different types of playstyles. The first one I'll be showing off is actually be more catered to a rushing and close quarters playstyle, while the other type of gunsmith loadout is actually going to be more catered to long range fights. And so I'm going to be going over both of those here in just a second, but the first thing I really want to talk to you guys about the Bren light machine gun is that there is some noticeable things about this weapon that make it really hard to handle. First of all, it is a light machine gun, so it's going to have really slow ADS speed and it's going to have even slow movement speed, so that's just something you're going to have to deal with by default, especially when you don't have any attachments unlocked for it already. But also, the recoil pattern on this gun can be very difficult to control. It has a very good damage per shot on the weapon, but the recoil on this gun can be really detrimental. And so of course, once you start unlocking attachments for this weapon, you can of course recognize the downsides of this gun and of course improve upon them to actually make this gun a lot better than it is by default with no attachments. So let's go ahead and start with the first gunsmith loadout class here. And even though light machine guns are more catered to be a longer range type engagement weapon, you can make the Bren a close range weapon, as you can see with the attachments I have here in this setup, and it's good for rushing enemies as well. And as you can see with the muzzle, I have the mercury silencer and the oaken shield barrel, while I have a monocular reflector as the optic. And for the stock, I just actually have a removed stock because I want to be able to actually have faster movement within this weapon, even though it does bring off more recoil to the weapon overall. But as you can see with all the other attachments, like the underbarrel, I have the Carver foregrip. The magazine is the Secura 30 round mags with an FMJ rounds, and then I have the pine tar grip. And then for the proficiency, I have sleight of hand, and then the kit is fully loaded. Sometimes I'll switch the proficiency to be something else that will cater to the gun's accuracy more. Like for example, there's one where if you're sustaining fire, your accuracy becomes better, or your initial shots will have better accuracy or something like that. I'll usually switch out to those instead of sleight of hand sometimes. But as you can see with like the underbarrel, the magazine, the rear grip, you can tell that I'm trying to use attachments that cater to the gun's recoil pattern because it does have high recoil, so I'm trying to reduce it down as much as possible, even though the removed stock does give the gun more recoil. And you'll definitely notice with this certain loadout that if you hold down the trigger, your accuracy is going to get so much worse over time. So your initial shots with this weapon are going to be devastating against enemies, and you're going to be really close on target, especially if you're in close range engagement. But if you keep holding down the trigger, then your accuracy is going to get a little bit worse. And so that's why I don't recommend using this class for long range engagements. I definitely recommend using it for close range engagements, and it can be very devastating. I know 30 rounds in a light machine gun isn't like the most common type of attachment people like to use, and it can actually block your field of view for at least on the right side of your screen anyway, but if you're using the Secura 30 rounds, for example. And of course you could trade it out for something else, but the reason why I use this magazine attachment specifically is because it actually gives the gun better accuracy. And so that is something, I mean, I shouldn't say accuracy, because accuracy actually means something different in this game. When I say accuracy, I mean it gives the gun better horizontal and vertical recoil. And so I think that this is the best close range engagement type of Bren class that you're going to be coming across. I mean, you could probably flip a couple other things that besides the proficiency slot, but this is the best class that I found when it comes to close range engagements. These next attachments that I'm going to be showing you are going to be catered towards longer range engagements for the Bren. And as you can see with the muzzle, I have the L brake, and then the barrel I have the Queen 705mm Royal, and then the optic I have a 3.5 times rifle scope, which is actually a really good attachment. And then the stock I have the Queen's Model 11. Then the underbarrel I have the Carver foregrip again, but the magazine this time I'm using the Iddish 100 round drums with FMJs as the ammo type. And then the rear grip I have the pine tar grip as again. And then for the proficiency I am using brace, where kit I am using defender. And so this, in my opinion, is a very solid class setup for a gunsmith attachment on the actual Bren itself. Getting long range engagements, this thing is pretty much almost a laser beam, and you're going to be taking out targets really effectively using these attachments. I find it really easy playing on shipment, for example, and just being like in just a corner of the map and just kind of like holding your ground. I know it sounds like I'm saying camping in a different type of way, which in a way I kind of am, but to be fair, you guys, this light machine gun class really treats the gun as an actual light machine gun. You're not going to be running around the map constantly with this thing. It's not going to have super fast ADS, even though it is pretty decent on this loadout in my opinion, or maybe I'm just used to having slow ADS. I do think this is one of those weapons that I think can be completely devastating in objective game modes by just literally defending objectives. You know, you're not really going to be playing the offensive with this type of class compared to the other one I showed you. This is more of a defensive type Bren loadout, and it is a very solid gun to use, and I highly recommend trying it out. It is one that I have personally been kind of liking a lot more than the other Bren class loadouts, even though the other Bren class loadout is really fun to use in close range engagements, but this one is definitely, I think, the more solid loadouts that you want to be using more frequently when it comes to playing objective game modes and just defending those objectives rather than just playing the offensive, because it seems like most people play the offensive when it comes to objective game modes in Call of Duty. So be on the other end of the team and try and to defend your objectives instead of going on the offensive. Anyway, I said that plenty of times, but either way, I think the biggest part about this class setup that I'm showing you is the barrel attachment. The Queen 705mm barrel is literally a lifesaver. It is going to extend your range drastically with this weapon. So of course, having that 3.5 times rifle scope is also going to be really helpful and taking out enemies at longer ranges. And so yeah, all in all, you guys, I think the Bren is a very solid gun. It is one that I think gets overlooked a lot because the magazine does of course take up a lot of space on your screen, especially if you're not using like the 100 round drum, for example. But this gun can be very devastating against enemies because it really does pack a punch with each shot you hit an enemy with. And so if you can stay accurate with the Bren, you are going to shred the enemy team. And so I really like looking for guns that are like not necessarily meta weapons and trying to turn them into a more meta weapon before they actually become meta, I guess. And so I'll have to see how the Bren turns out in Warzone. I heard it's pretty much the best Vanguard weapon for longer ranges, and so I'll have to like mess around with this gun in Warzone and see how it turns out. But nonetheless, those are my two recommendations when it comes to creating a gunsmith with the Bren in Vanguard's multiplayer. Hopefully you guys stuck through the entire video and enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like and of course subscribe to the channel for more Call of Duty videos every single day. And also don't forget to follow me on Twitter as well. There will be a link in the description that will take you to my Twitter page, so don't forget to follow me over on there to stay up to date with me outside of YouTube, and I shall catch you guys later.